What's going on, Jack Aman?
Not much. How are you doing, Nolan?
I'm doing all right. Little nervous to be back doing it. But I hit you up because you're just an interesting dude. Like, I'm talking to these people at work, and I'm like, I'm going to fire my podcast back up. And I got this guy coming, Jack Aman. They're like, what's he about? I was like, honestly, he's crazy, dude. He's like, sometimes he's always got his shirt off, you know. I don't know exactly if you could talk about your job, but you got a crazy job. It's a pretty intellectual job. And then you're like doing a bunch of stuff that we'll get into. But I guess I'd start with like, where's your like thirst come from? Because
I was kind of thinking about this the other day because when you poked the question if I wanted to come on here, I was like, I'm kind of curious what questions he was going to ask, and I kind of figured that would be like one of the big ones was what drives me into doing what I do, and honestly, it's just it's kind of human nature, the yearning to learn more and experience more things. Just on a day to day, that's kind of how I operate and how I pursue life. So whether that be engineering in general, like my job, which fuels that a ton, or doing something like skateboarding or snowboarding or having parties and big events with people or coming on here and doing podcasts with people and hearing about different people's ideas and things along those lines. Just learning more and experiencing more.
I mean, you do a lot of shit. Like, I remember when you first got your house, when I came up to your house, I was like, man, Jack's got an awesome house. It's like right in the area that at least I want to live, like somewhere around here.
Yeah.
And I'm saving for a house right now, but I also like looked at it. It's got woods, you know, but it's kind of in a neighborhood, but kind of not in a neighborhood, and nobody's kind of messing with you.
Yeah.
And then you built it into something awesome, dude.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what I like to do is take something that's already existing and then build off of it into something that's personal to myself.
Yeah.
So home, like a home in particular, I can mold from, the bones of it and then go from there, make it into something that's personal to me. So notably like having a bar downstairs with a pool table, all of the vanity plates and fun stuff that I have down there, and then the half pipe outside, the monkey bars, the porch, all the other fun stuff that I add on.
The monkey bars is new, huh?
Yeah, that is new. That's on the underside of the porch.
What was up with that? You just wanted to swing, or?
So when I was in college, I was really into climbing. I really liked rock climbing, and we had a rock wall treadmill, which wasn't the most fun thing in the world, but at the same time, it kind of piqued my interest. And then I started going to Planet Rock and bouldering and doing a couple of other things. And then there was a climbing club at Michigan State, and they ended up doing a lot of just free soloing on boulders around there, and then tree climbing was huge into it. So just the kind of grip strength mentality and like different activities that revolved around that really piqued my interest. And then when I built the deck, I was looking on the underside. I'm like, this would be really cool if I had some monkey bars to swing from under here. And then just popped on Amazon, found them pretty cheap, and threw them up, and the rest is history.
Boom. Yeah. And yeah, it's just interesting. Like, you always got people around you.
Yeah.
People probably hit you up, huh? They're like, hey, what are you doing? And you're like, yeah, swing by.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Not to say it doesn't swing the other way or whatever, but I always see people around you.
I was going to say, I think part of it is I like being around people in general. I like having company. And that's not to say that I can't be by myself or anything like that, but at the same time, having other people around is always really nice. It's comforting, and it's really fun to just hang out with people and see how they live their lives and what they do and how they experience everything that you bring forth to the table.
Yeah, and some people are doers, some people are not doers. Some people, like, in my experience, I've had a lot of times where like I'm never alone, or like I feel like overextending myself too much, Do you ever feel like that?
Yeah, occasionally. I feel like I've swung both ways where at times I'm having so many people over all the time, I'm never by myself, and I'm like, oh, God, this is a lot. Like, I feel like I'm constantly entertaining, or I'm constantly searching for people, and I'm never alone. And then at the same time, I've swung the other way where I'm by myself, and I'm like, I should probably go hang out with people or have some people over and do something. So
right.
I've seen both sides of it, and honestly, like anything else in life, it's kind of that happy balance. I mean, you don't really know it off the bat until you experiment with both sides.
No.
And once you get that experiment going, you just teeter-totter until you find that happy medium that you're really comfortable with. And I think that's part of like our age group specifically.
I thought, yeah,
just 20 to 30. That's all that's about, is like figuring out where you fit on that. And I feel like all of our ideals and like what we are about is pretty fluid right now. So like, while you're in your 20s, you can experiment and do all these things because there's a lot less risk than if you're, in your 30s or 40s and you try to start experimenting with that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's a lot less responsibility, or like if you have responsibility for another person's life, or whatever, your family's.
Yeah.
But it's super intuitive point that you brought up the timing thing, because like just in my 20s, I'm 25. Just in my 20s, I've gone from like fucking skinny jeans and Converse and just straight black clothing to like saying like I will never work with my hands, to then like feeling amazing after I work with my hands, and like being more of like I just want to wear some blue jeans and boots.
Yeah.
And if I need to be presentable, maybe throw on a comfortable pair of like Lulus or something. But that is like such small potatoes too. Like I guess like the mindset that changes in your 20s. At least for the first 5 years of my 20s, because it's been fucking crazy. Like, I've been like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I've seemed to not like calm down, but maybe just understand myself more. Going into that, like, did you know what you wanted to do? Did you know you wanted to be an engineer? Because throwing it way back, I remember like going to Michigan State, and I think we were at a party, and like you were always just fucking running, dude. Like you were like the running guy. Like somebody would be like, "We need a case of beer," and you'd be like, "I'll run and go get it." Yeah. We're talking like 2 miles, and you're back in like fucking 15 minutes. I'm like, dude, did you just run? Like
just ton of energy. I've always had a lot of energy as a kid, and growing up, that just didn't really ever seem to subside.
Yeah.
And with knowing what you want to do and what you don't want to do in life, back on that topic, what you were talking about just a second ago.
Yeah.
I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and I did want to do engineering from a very young age. But at the same time, the activities that I was interested in high school, and then as I fostered that into college and the later years and whatnot, I really kind of fell in love with engineering. Mm-hmm. Not so much when I was younger. I liked the idea when I was younger, but the actual act of doing it, I didn't really realize I enjoyed it until I was probably like 20.
Okay.
So and it's kind of funny thinking about that now, because so many people say they want to do stuff from like a young age, and then they realize when they're 18 they start changing those ideals. And I got really lucky in the sense that I said I'd always wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing it, I ended up really enjoying it on top of it, which I think is a bit of a rarity nowadays. Most people don't just from the age of like 8 to 10 say, oh, I want to do this, and then actually execute it, which
right.
is, and a lot of that has to do with growth. Like, you don't know what you want to do when you're 8 years old. I mean, shit, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 20. But at the same time, as I fell into it and I started doing things, I realized, this is actually something that I really enjoy and really want to do.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like a late bloomer with that. Like, I think that I call, it's a theory of mine, but I call it like this high school fog, where like you care a lot about what people think, you give a fuck about like what clothes you're wearing, or maybe a group that you're hanging around with. And you could call me petty or whatever, but I was just growing up. And then I didn't realize, like, I wasn't necessarily making choices to fuel who I wanted to be or personality. And that's not even on, like, a partying standpoint or on, like, it's really on, like, a career or development standpoint. Like, all my identity was probably just wrestling, and like hanging out with my friends. That's like all I knew, like, and through that time period, I wasn't the best kid to my parents, and just went through a lot of growth changes. And then like I found out that like I really just like interesting people, and I like basically challenging myself in something competitive.
Yeah.
So when sport ended, I was like, all right, well, I got to do something. And I'm like, well, I want to do something big. And then you get into it, and you get into your 20s, and you make money and you're fueling money into something that you don't even know what the fuck it is gonna be or it's gonna do or how to do it. And that's this now, you know.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 4 years, not consistently, producing content or anything like that, but having a team, figuring out a vision and a brand and everything like that. And I enjoy it a lot. But I guess it's kind of segueing into my next thing is kind of going off the last question I asked, which is like, did you always know? Like, a lot of things that I do now, I noticed that I did like as a little kid, or I had experience in it as a little kid, learned a lesson, whether it was with my dad and like building shit, or whether it was with my mom and like having a sense of communication with multiple different types of people. Like I can talk to a lot of different people, and I feel like maybe almost like a chameleon. And it's not fake, it's just genuine. Like I don't sometimes come off bad to people, but sometimes I do, you know, like there's those times. So like I guess my question is, when you're growing up, you know, did your parents have a lot of influence on you becoming an engineer and you having this type of personality? And do you find yourself doing things that now that you didn't realize at the time when you were younger that you were learning how to do, or that you were going to end up that was going to impact like how your actions, I guess? I kind of a loaded question, but
yeah, no, but it's a good question though, and I think a bit of both is the answer that I come up with. Where a lot of what my parents taught me and how they raised me really did influence me going into what I do now and all of the things that I enjoy to do now.
Yeah.
But there's the other side of it too, is there's a lot of other things that I found along the way that I fell in love with that my parents had no clue and did not expect me to fall in love with at all.
Right.
So engineering specifically, my dad and I have an extremely similar mindset.
Right.
The way that we think and the way that we operate on a day-to-day is extremely similar. Mind you, we're kind of, I don't want to say polar opposites, but he's a very introverted individual and I'm a very extroverted individual. So socially, we were nothing alike, but in our mentalities and how we operated and how we enjoyed things was extremely similar. So I found a lot of the same hobbies that my dad did and does to this day, I also do. So things like mountain biking or water skiing are things that my dad brought me into. Running was something that my dad brought me into. And then engineering as well. But then on the flip side of that, there was other weird activities that I found on my own, like skateboarding and snowboarding and rock climbing, going out and partying and having fun with friends and all of that. I mean, that's stuff that you figure out as you grow up, and your parents don't necessarily bring you into it. My parents didn't really. But you experience it as you grow up, and I think that's the social interactions that I developed were vastly different than what my parents did.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because you do a lot of shit, boy.
Oh, yeah.
A ton of shit. Yeah, I saw the mountain biking video. What was that race that you did?
Oh, so the Iceman race? So that's a race in northern Michigan near Kalkaska.
Yeah.
It's a 30 to 32-mile race. Usually on a year-to-year, they change up the end of the course a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's one of the biggest mountain biking races in the world. It's pretty cool. They have got usually between 35 and 45 waves per year, each wave containing about 100 people, and they shoot off at every 3 minutes. So it's this massive race that starts early in the morning, goes all day, and then at the finish line, they've got all of these different shops and all of these different tents and this big type of festival mentality, and people come out and camp for the weekend.
Right.
So it's just this really big mountain biking get-together with people that all like mountain biking or like watching it or like camping or like drinking beer or just enjoy the outdoors. It's a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. So I guess like my next question would be like, what do you get out of it? Like all these different sports you get. Do sometimes like you need to like slow down the mind and just focus on one thing when you're doing that? Because like I'm nowhere near like a surfer like you in general, but I can drop the rope, which is cool. But when I do that, there's like two things in the world where like I'm not thinking about anything else. I don't have like any type of like anxiety or motives really to do anything else in that moment, and it's fucking like healing to me.
Yeah.
You know, surfing's one of them where I'm like just focused on not eating shit.
Yeah, that's fair. In regards to just, I guess, all of the different things that I do and what drives me to do all those different things, I think it's the parallels that I find between all the activities. So, for instance, like snowboarding to surfing to skateboarding, all of those board sports have very similar motions, similar balance and coordination.
Yeah.
And I think as you do them, you kind of stumble into scenarios where you might be able to try one or the other. And when you get a taste for it, you're like, this is really similar. This is something that I could really enjoy, but at the same time, it's got like a little bit of a different flavor. And the more you experience that, the more you kind of get pulled towards it. So a good example was throughout high school, I was really into snowboarding, but I didn't like skateboarding at all. And
Right.
I didn't really surf all too much. But when I went into college, there's a skate park nearby, and I went a couple times. I'm like, I'll try this out. And then I really started to fall in love with it because I started seeing all the similarities. And then towards the end of college, when COVID was rolling around, they sent us home and they said, hey, you got to do everything remote. And because I was doing it remote and flights everywhere in the nation were dirt cheap, I'm like, I'm going to just travel around, backpack around, see what happens, which I was really fortunate and lucky in that sense. But that opened my door to surfing. So when I was out on the coast, I'm like, I'm going to give this a go, and started going down that avenue and learning about that. And finding all these different similarities between activities really piqued my interest. And I think it does for a lot of people, but I feel like people are very hesitant to try things because they're, I don't want to say afraid to fail, but they don't want to. Actually, I think being afraid to fail is a pretty common thing. I think a lot of people don't want to fail in front of their friends or their peers because they don't want to, I guess, lose status, which I think is a little ridiculous. But at the same time, that's just kind of how I've viewed a lot of things.
Well, that's in your mindset, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they don't try things or do things, you know, because it's all because of status, man.
Yeah.
You know, which ends up winding like, you know, probably not being the best scenario because of like activity, you know.
Yeah.
Like when you try new things, you either fail or you really like it, you know, but then you're doing something.
Yeah. I think the flip side of that too is I think people confuse a lot of these activities. So for instance, like surfing on a boat, usually you do that with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think people confuse it with the idea that, like you had brought up earlier with clothes and whatnot, and like dressing to impress more or less.
Yeah.
So doing something like surfing and doing cool tricks and being able to drop the rope or do like a 360 or 180 or jump or something like that, people think about it and they're like, oh, that person did that because they wanted to show off to other people.
Right.
When the reality of the situation is, I love going out with people on the boat and having a good time, but if it was just you and I and we were going out shooting the shit and having a good time surfing, I'd also enjoy that because I just like doing that activity.
Yeah.
And doing the tricks and pushing my limits is part of experiencing that. And I think once you get that taste, you start to realize pushing your limits and learning something because you truly enjoy it and it's stressing you more than the people around you is when you start to really fall in love with those types of activities and grow from them.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of distractions in our generation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and a lot of them have to do with probably with like the ego, you know. And I don't know where the ego falls in like the whole spiritual thing realm or whatever the fuck. But what I do know is that everything that I've ever like really dove into or really tried and stuck with it, I got better at it. And it wasn't for other people, you know. And when I did it for other people, it's almost like it didn't get me as far or I failed, you know. It's just crazy. Like I've done a lot of things where I just regret it. Like one time I was wrestling this huge match. This guy was he ended up winning the state championship, and I was beating the brakes off this kid. And then he lifted me up, and I had cut so much weight that I took a laxative pill to make weight, but I ended up not even pooping. And so I just ended up making weight. So then this kid got behind me and slammed me, and I pooped all over myself, dude, on the mat. And then like I look up at this ref and I'm like, hey, dude, injury time. And he's like, it's not an injury. I'm like, fuck. And I just laid there, and the kid like just wanted it, dude. And he ended up beating me, and I think I was a better wrestler, but I was like so embarrassed, and that's a major embarrassing story or whatever. But now I came to the conclusion where I'm like, I don't even care. And plus, everybody poops, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a champion. I ended up taking a fucking laxative pill to try to make weight to be a champion, and then
pushing the limits, man. That's what it's about.
But I wish that I just wrestled him all poopy, you know? Fuck it. You know, he was willing to do it. It's my poop, you know? That's a minor example, but just an example of where, like I shut down, you know, because there was all these people watching, and I just shut down. And there's been a few times in my life where, like, I'll get anxiety or get embarrassed of certain things. But I am putting myself out there, but I just don't give myself that much credit sometimes. And I think that, I admire your drive and tenacity for life, because I think that you don't really let that shit get to you. Or, you know, maybe you do, and just letting you know from an outer perspective, it doesn't seem like it bothers you at all. You know?
I appreciate it. And
yeah.
That is, I think...
And probably a contributing factor on why people want to be around you.
Yeah.
You know?
So a lot of the way that, or I should say, one of the best ways that I can explain how I gear my life is just living a very laissez-faire mentality. Not from the sense that I'm not driven to do things, but if you go with the flow and you understand that, hey, you can't control anyone but you, and people are going to express different emotions, they're going to feel a certain way about you that you can't control at all, you might as well just control what you can, which is yourself and how you react around people in those situations. So, like you had said, I tend to come off as a little bit, or I should say, I don't really care about what other people do around me or what they think of me a lot of the time, and I just do me.
Yeah.
And kind of go about that mentality. And sometimes I do care what other people think and how they're reacting around me, but at the same time, displaying that emotionally or explaining that or getting worked up about it, it's not going to help me. It's not going to help them, and all it's going to do, if I'm being completely honest, is probably bring me down. So trying to push that out and to the side and just keep on going with what I am doing and understand that I can only control what I can control is the way that I like to, I guess, approach that.
Right. I mean, it seems like, I don't know, it just seems like everything you do is creative, and then I think that it's also built a community around it. So your dad's an engineer?
Yeah, he actually works at the same company that I'm at.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What about your mom? Like, what traits did you get from your mom that you think are like impacting you now?
So my mom's the extroverted parent of the two. Definitely got my extroversion from her. On top of that, I'm a pretty talkative dude, and I also got that from her. That, and then on top of that, I keep on saying on top of that and that.
It's all right, dude.
Trying to think. There's a lot of qualities that I got from my dad that are really prominent, but I think emotionally and artistically, I got a lot from my mom. So my mom's a pretty compassionate person.
Yeah.
And likes to include everyone. She never likes to leave anyone out.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge thing that I got from her. My dad being an more introverted individual.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily think on that mindset. My mom was really prominent whenever I'd have people over when I was younger. She's like, hey, make sure you invite so-and-so, or make sure that you're not excluding people. And at times it made me feel really awkward because I'd be inviting people that I'm not necessarily good friends with, but I think it was really beneficial in the end because she was opening doors that I didn't even think to, and it widened my perspective on, one, people, and then two, just who I can hang out with and what I can do and how I can make friends, which I think that was a huge thing that I got from my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, to me, like, it's funny that, like, your name's Jack because, like, you see a lot of people think that, like, they say, like, this thing, jack of all trades, master of none, or whatever. But I think there's a difference between being a jack of all trades, master of none, like the phrase says, and just being just being having the confidence and having the awareness and having the ability to do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that you have that.
Thank you.
Like
Appreciate that.
I think there's a lot of people that shut down, or maybe they're not. They don't think that they're capable of doing certain things. You know, like some people, like they really think that they can't swing a hammer, or like do certain things. You know, or keep a drill steady and punch a screw in. You know, some
Yeah.
people think they couldn't ever code or do certain things. And
I was gonna say a lot of that is just I love the notion don't knock it till you try it.
yeah,
Just simply from the perspective of if you've never tried something, you're never gonna know how good or bad you are at it. And as soon as you do, you can get a barometer for okay, 1, do I like this? 2, am I good at it? 3, do I want to keep on rolling with it? And I think if you live by that mentality and you keep on chugging along and saying like, oh, I'm just gonna try new things here and there and try to widen my horizons.
yeah.
It opens so many doors. I mean, like you, for example, like you decided to start a podcast and you started your gaming channel and everything along those lines. I don't know anyone else that had one the balls to do something like that and two
Yeah.
to keep with it. I mean, doing something that's out of the norm and pursuing it, and whether or not it's super consistent, like you're doing it every single week, you're off again, on again with months and like this month, that month, year to year, however it be. You tried it. You said you would do it. You did it, and now you've got a barometer and a base to build off of. If you never try it from the start, you're never going to have a base to build off of. You're never going to actually know. It's just going to be this figment of your imagination that just sits in the realm of possibilities that you could or couldn't have done it.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. It then goes like I guess to maybe another topic that we could talk about, and you could have all that, and at least myself, you could still not feel like proud of yourself or think that like I've even like scratched the surface or I'm even shit, you know, and that is like a tough battle, you know, and when I like compassionately when I think about how some people may be struggling or some people are living an unfulfilled life, you know, I think that can be extremely challenging to somebody's mental health or how they're going about their day or what they think that they're worth, because it's not easy to do really anything and try to be successful at it. But there is a lot of things that you can do to live a fulfilled life, you know? And I think that you're cool as fuck in the aspect of there's a lot of things that you do that I just think, like, I get excited about it. Like, when you post a video, I'm like, dude, this dude is fucking doing a plank with his foot in a rope behind a boat going 30, and he's just, like, doing push-ups on the water or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? And I can't help but feel like, man, he's got to feel really good about that. And it's you don't need any trophy or you don't need any, like, status or anything like that. So what I'm getting at is like I could look at like my analytics or whatever, and maybe it would make another person proud, but it doesn't necessarily make me proud. But I feel like you do a lot of things where there's no like verification required. There's no like you don't need to see that, you know. And I think that's unique about you, dude. You just do it, you know.
I think a lot of the gratification and the pride that I find in a lot of the things that I do
Yeah.
is very intrinsic to myself. Because, I mean, shit, dude. Doing a push-up in the water 30, 40 miles an hour behind a boat with my foot just sitting in a rope, there's going to be, I mean, I posted on Instagram.
It's fucking terrifying, dude.
It's terrifying and it's cool. And, like, I'm really happy I did it and gave it a go. And I was able to do it. But at the same time, there's, like, I don't know, very select few people out there that are gonna be like, oh, like I get it, I get how hard that is, because they're doing. I mean, barefooting's a pretty niche sport to begin with, but the few people that have tried it, they're like, oh, that's like really difficult. And from that sense, it's like I feel like when
well, yeah, you need a boat, you need all this different shit.
You get down these niche rabbit holes of like doing hyper specific things like barefooting or surfing or skateboarding or just any niche activity that's kind of out of the norm. And
Skating's hard.
Skating is hard. That'll knock your ego down a notch for sure, because everyone looks at it and they're like, oh, I'm standing on a board. I can do this, that, and the other. And then you get on it and it's a completely different world. But in regards to that, it's kind of funny with videos, because you'll post something that you're somewhat proud of, or not even proud of. You're just like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you put it on the internet, and like you were commenting, you were like, oh, dude, that is awesome. That's really cool. And the gratification is there immediately. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, I mean, I've been, for instance, with the barefooting video, I've been barefooting since I was 9. So like getting to that point is just such a long road. And it's like, I wasn't thinking about it from like, I need to be proud about this, or I need to have like this gratification. It was like, that's the next step in the process of getting better, is trying something and pushing my limits like that.
Right.
And I think that's kind of similar in the stages that you were talking about with just life. Like anything that you try, you may or may not feel proud about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's more or less I guess I don't really know how to phrase this. It's kind of funny. Yeah, feeling proud about things, I feel like, is kind of an afterthought. Mm-hmm. It's not in the moment. And the gratification that you get from doing it in the moment is more, I think, a pursuit of passion.
Yeah.
So like a lot of what I do because I enjoy it. I really do. I have fun while I'm doing it, and it's this weird onslaught of emotions that I get, and it's just this rush. And experiencing those things really drives me to do more of those things. But the pride in accomplishing it, or doing something like a new trick, that doesn't come until afterwards. It's like like you pointing it out now. I'm like, like I am proud that I'm able to do that. But I'm not thinking about it at the time, then and there. Like, like I should be proud of this. This is the accomplishment that I've made. That it's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, and I think that we're getting down to something here, because it's like, there's no way that like you could build anything or accomplish anything really well if like the whole time you're just thinking about, hey, let me just make myself proud here, you know?
Yeah.
It wouldn't even get you across, like, you know, the first, 5 miles of a marathon, if that makes sense. It's not 100%. Enough, you know. And that is something that I'm trying to talk to you about all this, because there's a lot of people out there that are like, I just think are extraordinary, awesome people, you know? And I think that they need to be more, like, I think that you're in a flow state with, like, yourself a little bit, in terms of, like, you feel like you want to do something, you have an urge, and then you go and do it. It's like when you see, like, some kids that are riding a bike nowadays, and they're with their friends, and they're going around the neighborhood, you're like, those are some decent kids right there.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just sitting on a fucking iPad.
So I think it's funny that you talk about that, just acting almost on impulse and just doing instead of sitting around and contemplating. When I was younger, I mean, ADHD or not, just that mentality of like impulsively just going and doing things as opposed to thinking about it, I think can be a blessing and a curse. So you don't want to impulsively do things that are going to have long-lasting repercussions. But if you can dissect what things are going to have long-lasting repercussions and what things are short-term. So, for instance, like embarrassment. Great one. If you're skateboarding and you fall on your face and you're in front of your friends and everything like that, 10 minutes of an embarrassment, no one's really going to care probably a month from now or whatever. So might as well do it. Mind you, jumping, if you're on a giant mega ramp and you're jumping 50 feet, the odds of you like not making the jump or something like that, and you might hurt yourself, those are going to have long-lasting repercussions, so you might not want to do it.
Right.
But you get that balance of, okay, yeah, just do it, let's execute, and acting on it then and there and not hesitating, I think is critical. It's huge.
Oh yeah, no, it's huge, dude. Man, I think there's a guy outside with the subs blaring right now.
I was going to say, I feel the ceiling shaking.
I'm like, damn it. Sometimes I love this place. My other place was a little bit more secluded in terms of like sound wise, but the ceiling was a lot bigger. And every once in a while there's a fucking train that comes in, and it's like boom, boom, so
clapping around on the tracks. Yeah.
When we're like gaming or doing something that's like a drink cue. But anyways, sorry, I'm getting a little off track here, but I was like, what the fuck is that? Regardless, no, that's really cool. I just wish that people would try more things. And I think that you're good at trying new things. I think that you like care about your own success. I do. Do you do every single year? Do you run the miles that your age, or have you not done that every year? Or?
So I started doing that when I was 18. In the recent years, I haven't held to it entirely. I've changed it up a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So about 2 years ago, I shifted away from, I shouldn't say exclusively running, but primarily running as like a mode of activity and keeping myself in good shape.
Yeah.
And then I started going to the gym and doing a lot more calisthenics and things along those lines. And then mountain biking came into the picture as well.
Right.
Because of that, I realized, not this past year, but the year before, if you don't train for 25 miles and you decide to just try and run 25 miles on a whim, it just beats the living shit out of you.
Yeah.
And coming from someone that was a runner prior to, I think part of it is I definitely, when I turned 25, I didn't make the 25 miles that I did. I think I got around like 21, and then I was like, oh, I'm done. Just from the standpoint of, I was going at a clip that I definitely shouldn't have been running at if I wanted to do the 25 miles. And I don't think I have it in me to go slower. Like when I'm running and I'm going mile to mile, I'm like, oh, I'll be okay. Oh, I'll be okay. And I just push it one more mile, one more mile, one more mile.
Right.
And then eventually I get to a point where, so like last year at like 21 miles, I got to a point where I went from 6:30 to 7-minute pace, and then I dropped straight down to like 8:30, and then the next mile was like 12 minutes. I'm like, okay, this isn't worth it. I'm gonna be walking these last 4 miles. I'm gonna be more mad that I walked them than I ran them.
Right.
So this past year when I turned 26, instead of doing that, I decided I'm gonna do a half marathon. So I'm gonna do 13 miles. But every single mile I run, I'm gonna also drink a beer.
Right. Yeah.
And that was an interesting feat because at the same time I really do enjoy running, and I know I could go that distance, mile to mile.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you could.
And the drinking on top of it added an extra element of, I guess, uncertainty. Because, like, I've done a couple of drinking and running events before.
Yeah.
So, Beer Mile was one of them. We did a thing called a 4x4 Loco in college. A Hot and Ready 5K was one of the eating ones that was fun. Wild Turkey 2 Mile. There's a bunch of fun events we did, but relatively low volume, I think, was the key there. Or like the maximum amount we would drink was probably like 4 beers.
Yeah.
Having that much liquid in your body and then trying to run and then having the alcohol added on top of it made it a really interesting experience.
Yeah. Like I've been talking to these guys that I work with and a few of my buddies. I'm like, let's run a fucking beer mile. I'll set up a station every quarter mile.
Yep.
Just 1 mile, guys. 4 beers, 1 mile. And they're like, well, what if we can't run as fast as you or whatever? I'm like, well, one, I'm not even that fast of a runner. I'm better at wrestling, trust me. But I was like, you guys are probably can slam the beer faster than me. So then you'll pick up pace, slamming the beer. They're like, I don't know, but if I get a beer mile together,
oh hell yeah, I'd hop in on that. That'd be so much fun.
I think it'd be a fun vlog, dude.
Oh heck yeah.
And then I think it would be a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, those adding exercise into drinking and eating events like that, it's a recipe for chaos, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, why not, man? Yeah. So that's really fun. Do you ever see these people that are like running 100-milers?
Oh my God! Actually,
is it like on your Instagram like crazy? You're like, God, these guys.
I see a handful of people doing it, and it blows my mind every time. So one of my buddies from high school.
How hard is that?
I don't know how to put it into words if I'm being completely honest. I haven't ran more than 30 miles in one go before.
Yeah,
that was the most I've ever ran, and thinking about running more than triple that in just one period of time it's almost incomprehensive. Like I can think about it, but the repercussions afterwards and how like the state that my body would be in, it's so crazy to think people are capable of just pushing their mind to the point that they're like, yep, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep going past that barrier of pain and that barrier of like physical torment and just saying, yeah, I'm going to keep it going. It is, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. It's a crazy thing to even like think about, let alone see. And it's funny because it pops up on my Instagram or like the Instagram Reels page and like the tailored pages on Instagram.
Oh,
It pops
yeah.
up all the time.
It's
I'm
all
like,
over my
"Holy crap."
shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, God, jealous.
What's mind blowing to me? Do you know who Tom Evans is?
I don't know who Tom Evans
So
is. now.
Tom Evans is a runner sponsored by Red Bull. He's an
Okay.
ultra marathon runner, and I think he holds the world record for the fastest trek along the Appalachian Trail. So like
Okay.
he did like I want to say it was like 2,000 miles, and he did it in less than like 6 weeks or something like that.
Right.
Which is just insane. Usually people when they're doing that, it takes them the better part of 4 months, and he does it in the third of the time. Like it was insane.
Fuck, 14 days.
Yeah. And he was
Right.
he was running most of the time. Like I don't think he was
14
sleeping.
days, 2,000 miles. I mean, that's like 80 miles a day.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know like the Iron Cowboy. You know who that guy is?
Yeah.
Is that who you just said?
No.
James, I think that's James Lawrence.
Yeah.
He's a dog. Then I follow all these guys like Cameron Haynes. He's pretty cool. His son Truett is an ultra runner now. He's the guy that holds the world record pull-up record now.
Oh, really? Oh, actually, I think I saw a post about that.
Yeah, he runs in jeans. That's his thing.
Yeah.
Running in jeans. That new guy, Matt Johnson, he ran across Texas.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane. But I just think that shit's really cool. Do you ever plan on trying one, or have you ever like?
I've toyed around with the idea, and it's interesting because you look at those guys and their builds, and there's such a variety. Like you see some tall, skinny people, you see some tall, big people, you see some short, stout people, you see some short, skinny people. You get every variety of person, and it's. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know what, because I know personally I'd want to push myself to the point that I'm like, I want to do well. I want to do really well, and I want to see how I can compete. Versus I think if I were to do that, I'd have to.
Oh, you'd piss blood for sure.
Oh
dude.
yeah, dude, just
You'd
my
be
body
pissing-
would be
just
tormented.
pissing blood.
And
dude.
like, not that I couldn't go down that path. It's just I feel like you have to dedicate so much time into training for something like that.
Yeah.
Like it just becomes so much of your life. So for instance, like going to the gym.
Yeah.
Working out. You can go to the gym a couple times a week, work out for an hour and everything. You'll see some results. With ultra running, you got to be running like 2.5, 3 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
Consistently, like 6, 7 days a week, and just keep going. And then eventually you get to a point where you're running like regularly. You're doing like a marathon like a couple times a week.
Oh, I
which
know.
is just insane.
Yeah, that is insane. It's crazy to me. Do you like how do you eat? Are you like a supplement guy? Do you like what do you got cooking?
It's kind of funny. So I mainly just pay attention to my macros. So protein, carbs, calories,
Yeah.
fats. I try to keep it relatively simple. So I go 2x my body weight for carbs, and then I try to do my body weight or like my target body weight for protein, and then fats I try to keep at about a third of my body weight.
Right.
Relatively lean diet. That's about all I do. I mean, it's not too hard. I mean, like I'm not super meticulous about it. So like there'd be some days on a weekend or like a weekday where I'm not really paying attention. I'm just kind of going through the day, eating what I want to eat and doing what I want to do. But I think having a 5-6 day work week the way I do, it's a little bit easier to structure a diet and everything.
Yeah.
You go to work, you have some breakfast at work, you have your lunch, you come home, you go to the gym, you work out, you have your dinner, you do some activity afterwards. There leaves only about one meal a day where you have the option to like, I didn't pack that, so I'm gonna buy this instead, or I'm gonna go out and eat,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna go to said restaurant.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the food thing is pretty huge. I think that what they're trying to do with the food, we'll see if it works out, but I think that's big, man. Like, I just think that we should all be eating just whole foods, like, meaning, like, just raw foods,
I think there's a lot of, it's weird. So I think there's this happy balance. So there's a lot of processed foods that still have good shit in them, but at the same time, there's also a lot of processed foods that have like absolutely no nutritional value.
No, I agree.
I don't think it's super easy to decipher which is which either. I think it's easier to just, like you were saying, get raw food. So it's like, oh, go to the store, buy a steak. Pretty easy. High in protein, relatively A-okay in fat. You got very low carbs and something like that.
Yeah.
Buy a loaf of bread. Eat a loaf of bread. High in carbs, a little bit of protein, low in fat. You keep on going. It's just like those really basic foods.
Yeah.
It's really easy to dissect. And I think it's a lot easier to regulate your mentality in your body if you know what you're putting into it. So
And if you're active.
Yeah. Oh, if you're active, it's huge. It's so wild. From a very young age, my parents were really adamant that I got activity because my mood would change so quick if I wasn't. Like if I was cooped up inside all day and I didn't have like a sport to do, or if I didn't go on a run or something like that.
Right.
Not that I'd be miserable all the time or anything like that, but if I was really antsy and just pissy and mean or something along those lines, the two big check marks that my parents would look at, they're like, have you had food today? And then, did you get your daily activity in? Did you go and run? Did you go and play soccer? Did you go play lacrosse or baseball or something? Did you get that form of activity in? And it helps so much. It's crazy to say. Like, it's like almost a catch-all cure to just a lot of things. Just a lot of the way that people feel and everything like that. If they just simply put in like 30 minutes of exercise and had a healthy snack, it's so weird to say that that's kind of like a catch-all solution, but it fixes a lot of problems.
It does seem like the bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, man. It's the fucking phones, man. And I'm addicted to my phone too, you know. But I've been blessed and able to like do certain things. Like I'm a wrestling coach like 5 months out of the year. I'm wrestling every single day, and that's a fucking awesome workout.
Oh yeah.
If not, I think that I'd be like at least 15 more pounds. And I just try to keep. I just eat protein now.
I was gonna say, what's your diet like nowadays?
Just protein. I don't even really fucking care about carbs. If I do eat carbs, I love like pita chips and hummus.
Oh, those are always
or crackers and cheese, dude. Like I'm big on like going to buy a bunch of different fucking cheeses, and
I love cheese so much. Pizza is one of my favorite things, but it shreds my stomach every time I eat it. Just cheese. In general.
Cheese.
Yeah, dairy stuff. I love it. I don't think I'm lactose intolerant, but I definitely have a sensitivity to it.
Yeah.
It just and like I feel like I've had it so long. I feel like it's funny because people have dairy allergies.
Yeah.
And like that's the one allergy that people are like, I don't care. I'm gonna still have it because the food products that are provided. It's so good.
Yeah, dude.
So good.
Even like I don't know how good it is for you, but like a glass of like store-bought chocolate milk is fucking
It's
nuts.
unreal.
Oh,
that was my favorite post. So like when I was in high school and I was doing cross country, that was my favorite post-run drink because it's so high in sugar and carbs. It just replenishes you so well. It's like Gatorade.
Yeah.
Thicker. So just having that at the end was always the best, and it tastes so awesome.
Oh yeah, there's big things about exerting energy and then eating sugar. You know, like Floyd Mayweather, he'd have like a real glass Coke like after he'd fight, and people would be like, "What the fuck?" But there's something about like replenishing certain things that you just use. You know.
I mean, have you seen?
But some people drink seven Cokes a day.
Yeah,
you know,
that's wild.
Well, pop is fucked.
Yeah,
you know.
Speaking of weird things with pop, though, have you seen the ultra runners and what they drink and eat when they're running?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! So one of the biggest things that I've seen people do is flat Coke.
Yeah.
So like they decarbonate pops like Pepsi and Coke.
Yeah.
And they just chug that shit. And it's because it's so high in sugar. It just keeps them going. It keeps their energy levels up so that they don't fatigue.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the people that are living a bit more of a sedentary life and they're smacking back 7 Coca-Colas a day, it's like, holy shit.
Yes.
And no wonder it's going to be affecting you negatively.
Yeah, I'm at the point where like I'm trying to just maintain like the same like brain. I don't like want to have brain fog, or like I don't want to feel like I don't have like the same energy as I did 5 years ago. Like I'm just trying to maintain that. So, and I found a few things that help. Like I take magnesium.
Yeah.
And that helps like my digestion and my energy level with that. I take this thing. Do you know who Gary Brecka is?
No.
He's a guy that's he's the guy that like got like Dana White skinny. He's he like is huge in the health world, and I take this thing called Perfect Amino. I don't even know what the fuck it is, to be honest, but my girlfriend is really into all that stuff, and she kind of does the research for me, and I try it, and I usually just try one thing at a time. Like, once I found out the magnesium helps, I started taking magnesium, and then once I tried the other thing, I was like, all right, this is helping, and then every once in a while now, in this past month, I've been taking that Alpha Brain that Rogan's always talking about.
Yeah.
Because it gives you a little bit of stimulation, and I'm like, this is pretty fucking rad.
Yeah.
So that pre-workout creatine before I work out, and then really like my main source of carbs is like cheese or whatever, cheese and crackers.
Yeah.
And fucking beer, dude.
Dude, beer is such a big part of my carb portion of my diet. It's hilarious.
Like, if I'm gonna drink beer, like, I'm literally, my dinner is just meat and a vegetable, so I could maybe poop. But the carbs are coming from the beer.
Yeah. No, I totally dig with that. It's funny you say that. I have a buddy of mine that's he's been dieting and going to the gym and trying to lose a couple of pounds, and he tried cutting carbs down like super low.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to the gym the other day and was just completely out of it. He's like, I don't want to be here or whatnot. I'm like, dude, your brain runs on glucose. Like, you need carbs. Like, you need something to fuel your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, if you cut it out, hey, don't get me wrong, you can definitely cut back if you're in excess, but like, don't cut below your minimum threshold. Once you do that, you're gonna start to see some serious side effects. But in regards to beer, though, dude, it's such a. I think part of it is just the age that we are, like 25 to 30-year-olds. Like, we get to, go to the bars, have fun, have a couple beers with some buddies, and shoot the shit. And it's if you count that into part of your diet too, it's kind of funny. Like, once you start analyzing that kind of stuff, I've realized, at least, is like I can mitigate a hangover like really easily based on what I eat prior to, if I like have a couple of beers or what I drink and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you the same way? Like, can you dodge that?
I don't. It's very hard for me to get hungover. I'd have to fucking
really
tie one off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is about that. It's crazy. Like, one thing I don't do is, like, I don't know how people, like, I can't drive to the bar. Like, I always Uber, you know, or I find some other motherfucker to drive me to the bar. I'm like, I'm not driving, dude, because like I also have a CDL, so I'm a professional driver or whatever, but it's just for my job. I don't even drive a truck. They just want me to get it. Yeah. But I think I can have like one beer. I don't even think it's that. I think it's like a half a beer. Yeah. Or you fucking go to jail.
It's wild. So,
I just don't even do that. But it's like I don't really go to the bar that much. I love just hanging out at the house. Or, what's about to start up is the lake.
Yeah. I was going to say lake days and hanging out at buddies' houses, shooting the shit, having beers. Don't get me wrong. I love going out occasionally. It's just so expensive. That and like the mode of transportation, getting everyone there. I mean, there's always that one idiot friend that has too much and is like, oh, I'm fine to drive home. And it's like, no, you're not, buddy. Like, don't. No. They do it anyways, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Well, it's so expensive to get a DUI, bro.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't imagine having one.
Yeah.
I'd lose everything.
So, speaking of the modes of transportation, way back to when we were talking about me running around at college at parties and stuff like that. That was, I'm huge on not drinking and driving. Like, that was just, I was never comfortable with it. And I was like, I could always find another way. And, like, the way that I stuck to that in college was, because MSU is a pretty big campus. So, going from house party to house party, a lot of people drive or they Uber or something like that.
You're just fucking running.
It's like, fuck it. I'm just going to run. It worked out. You bring a little can of body spray, a little bit of deodorant, and a couple drinks with you, throw it in a backpack, and you just hoof it. Ends up being quicker. I mean, shit, city traffic's terrible.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny.
Yeah.
But perk of where I'm living now, too, White Lake Inn's just down the road, and the Wheel, too.
Yeah.
Mind you, I don't go to the park very much, and especially since a lot of times I just, like you were saying, just like shooting the shit, sitting at a bonfire, maybe hanging out on a porch or something.
Yeah, or your half pipe, or fucking...
half pipe works, too.
Making a fucking slip and slide. I saw that too.
Oh yeah.
Would you dig a trench? You just
Yes, that was. It's actually kind of funny.
That was a day, huh?
Oh yeah.
You do that in one day?
No, it took about a week to get that like trenched out and dug out, right?
Right. Probably helping the irrigation around your foundation, maybe a little bit.
It did help divert a lot of it, but what I found out really quick, so the area that the people built the house on that I'm living in now, there wasn't like a foundation or an area for them to build a house. They just put in a ton of soil over there. That was how they did it. They didn't put in like topsoil or anything easy to dig through. It was just a mix of river rock and like hard soil. So like my backyard doesn't have grass or anything. It's just weeds and kind of underbrush. And I was really confused when I bought the house. I'm like, why can't I grow grass back here? And it's like you put a shovel in, you're gonna hit like 30 different like softball sized rocks. Like it's wild. So when I was digging that trench, one, it took a really long time. But two, afterwards I was like, I put down the plastic tarp and I was like laying on it and I was like, this is like rough. So then I scooped up a bunch of leaves, a bunch of grass clippings, as much as I could, and then I just lined the trench with all of that to try to make it as soft as possible.
Right.
And even with all of the grass clippings and leaves that we laid down to try to soften it up, you'd still feel the bumps in the rocks and stuff. So then we decided, okay, if you're going to be running down this thing, you got to have a tube.
You got to have a tube.
Yeah. If you hit one of the rocks the wrong way as you're going down at like 15, 20 miles an hour, it just, it'd feel like if you just wound up and kicked a door. Like, it hurts so bad.
Oh, yeah. But that's fun, dude. Like, I'm looking at that, I'm like, God, like, what a thirst for life, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I have like maybe two more questions. I guess my first question would be, what's next for Jack Aman?
So there's
you got any plans cooking or?
Got a couple things cooking actually. So one of the things I do after work, if I find myself not having anything to do at work, I like to dink around on the CAD modeling software that they have there, and they don't mind as long as you're not like fiddling around on it doing personal projects during normal work hours.
Yeah,
they let you use it for your own like personal stuff. So I started modeling my house, and then I started modeling the projects around it. And the next project, I think, or the next big one, is finishing out the half pipe.
Yeah.
So I want to bump it out, make it a bit bigger, and then I want to make it into a bowl. So I want to make it a little bit higher, too. So right now it's about 3 feet high, the walls. I want to bump it up to about 5 feet, and then it's going to be about triple the length, which will be pretty fun.
Where did you get the wood for that? Did you did you thrift that wood, or it's a lot of wood you put into that thing?
My buddy, you know Hunter Luke's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So about, 2 years ago now, in the month of October, he was transitioning between apartments at the time. And at that time, he was living at his mom's house, and he didn't have anything to do for work. They were like, hey, just take a month off, like, chill out. It's like, okay. So he's at home. He had nothing to do. And we had a half pipe in college, and he was like, hey, do you want me to build a half pipe in your backyard? I'm like, sure. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I work 40, 50 hours a week, but, like, I'll help out here and there when I can. If you want to just get it kicked off, this is the area you can. So whenever I had time, I would help with it. But really, Hunter was the one that constructed it. And then I've been maintaining, resurfacing, tuning it up here and there. And then the ideas that are coming off of it, I'll probably be doing most of that myself since Hunter lives on the west side of the state now.
Right.
But all of that wood that he got, he ended up doing Facebook Marketplace. People that had old decks be like, hey, I'll pick up your old deck, or I'll tear your old deck out, and he'd just find a bunch of wood that was used, and then a lot of it in just Home Depot, went and bought some 2x4s, some plywood, and cut it out and put it together.
That's fucking rad, dude.
Yeah, no, good friend, dude. He's one of those people that he's
sweet, dude.
He's awesome. Yeah.
He's always like in that wetsuit and in the lake. It's like fucking big 40 degrees in there. Yeah. It's gotta be so cold.
Oh yeah.
I did a few ice baths, and I had a thermometer in there, and there is a huge fucking difference between, let's say, 40 and fucking 33, dude. 33 is...
it's painfully cold.
It's painfully cold. Yeah. Like, it was, like, the biggest difference ever.
What's wild, too, so, like, I'll go over to the west side to surf with Hunter a couple times in the spring and fall, once the waves are pretty solid on Lake Michigan, and it's surprising how well those wetsuits work. So, like, I've surfed in, I think the coldest I've done is about like 37 degrees.
Do you do the whole like put conditioner in it and then warm water and then, or
so it's just
dry suit them?
Just dry suit it, or not even dry suit. We use 5x4 millimeter. So the chest is 5 millimeters thick. Your arms and legs are 4 millimeters thick. Hood, boots, and gloves, and all of those are either 5 to 7 millimeters, depending on the portion that you're looking at. And 37-degree waters, once you get cooking, you start moving around in the water, you're warm. Like, you're not just like, oh, like, I'm just surviving out here. Like, you can get hot pretty quick, especially if you're, like, pushing some water and you're in some choppy conditions and whatnot. You can get really warm really quick, which is surprising.
That's crazy, dude. So you got the half pipe. What's the other thing you said you got cooking?
So the other side of that is wall trampoline. So you remember in college I had that wall trampoline. Hunter and I had that wall trampoline set up in the backyard.
I do not. I don't think I ever got to see it.
We ended up, I think I only did it my senior year. We took 15 feet of scaffolding, put it next to a square trampoline, and then we put, or a rectangular trampoline, and then we put plywood along the scaffolding to make it into a wall. And we started doing wall tramp, where like you would bounce on your back on the trampoline, run up the wall, do tricks and shit like that.
Super cool.
So I still got that trampoline. Hunter let me have that after college. And then
is it the one right by your garage?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I ate shit off that thing, dude. Trying to get onto your roof.
So the next plans with that, I started this in the fall. There's like, you know how my backyard's graded and it's got that hill. So I cut out a portion of that hill. And then I started building a retaining wall there. Like,
what do you mean you cut it out? Like you just dug into the riverbed?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, it sucked, but I did it. I moved about 3 yards of dirt, and then I got this. It's like a half in ground trampoline setup now. And then that's so like if you're walking from my front yard to the backyard, like, and you hit the half pipe, so like you go down it and you're on the other side and you're looking towards the back of my property. If you were to walk off that back side of the half pipe is where the trampoline's sitting now.
Okay.
And the idea is I'm gonna build a wall right there so that we could continue that.
Oh, that's sweet, dude.
So that's the other big project that I got coming up. But it should be fun.
All right, dude. I guess my last question for you is like, from everything that we talked about, you know, if there's somebody out there that's like, hey, what should I do with my life, or like, what kind of activity should I do, or how do I even get involved in an activity? You know, what's something that has helped you pursue not only the creative side of activities, but also like being able to continue to stimulate your brain and do things that you love and keep waking up and doing them? You know, how do you find that, or how do you, I guess, have the motivation, or is it just there and it's just because you've tried a lot of things and certain things stuck? You know.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I think it's about three things. So I think impulse, research, and then execution are the big three things. So you look at something and impulsively you're like, oh, I want to do that. But at that point in time, you probably don't have any idea how either hard or easy that thing is, or how much, I guess, equipment, or like how you actually execute that activity.
Okay.
So impulse is the first thing. You want to get that idea built, and you're like, okay, let's do this. Second part, like I was saying, that research. Now you start Googling, figuring out like bare minimum, like what would I need to do this? And then 3, execution. Like this is the part where people kind of fumble the bag more or less. Is they do a little bit of research, like like maybe I do this, maybe I don't. I think putting everything aside and just saying, yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't care if it works or not, and executing it is huge. So an example of this would be. What would be a good example right now? Like hydrofoiling, for instance.
Yeah.
When Hunter first got into hydrofoiling, he saw it, and like we both ended up getting into it and doing it. But he saw it, and he was like, okay, let me research. This is how much it's going to cost. Pretty penny at the time. He's like, fuck it. Let's do it. Bought it, got the board, got the foil, got everything he needed. It's like, okay. Tried it for a bit, and we realized, okay, this is not the setup for what we want or anything like that. And then the next like 6 months just spiraled into like figuring out what that correct setup was. So I think when you're trying a new activity or something, you kind of have to push logic and reason aside. So like even if you don't have necessarily the money at the time or the time to do something, if you really want to give it a go, purchase the thing, or like I said, impulsively think, hey, I want to do this. Research it, purchase the things you need to do it, because now that you have it, now you have the ability to do it.
Right.
Whether it be right or wrong, you have like some ability to do this now.
Yeah, no way out.
There's no way out, and you can
Or you wasted it.
And that's going to be sitting looming on your head. You're like, ah, shit, I bought all this stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got to at least try it. And then you either figure out, one, I don't like this, and I need to sell this and get rid of it, and there's your lesson learned. Or two, you're like, ooh, this really piques my interest. I'm going to keep rolling with this and start figuring it out. And that's when you start falling in love with these activities, and you're like, okay, maybe I need a different setup. Maybe I need to really invest more time into this. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. And then you can kind of branch off from that point.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I think there's gonna be some people that take a lot from what you have to say, and it's been a fucking pleasure talking to you, Jack Aman.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
See ya.